Greetings. My name is John Hardiman, Public Relations Director for the New Jersey Catholic Conference. Today, we continue our Town Hall video series featuring special individuals who have committed their lives to respect life issues, including serving moms and their children, especially those in need, by promoting, expanding, and delivering essential social services needed to live a flourishing life. This video is part one of three that highlights two outstanding Respect Life advocates, including Jennifer Ruggiero, Director of the Office of Life and Human Dignity for the Diocese of Metuchen, and Rachel Hendricks, Respect Life Coordinator for the Diocese of Trenton. In this video, Jen and Rachel will share with us how they became involved in Respect Life work and some of their biggest challenges in that role. Parts 2 and 3, which will be released in the near future, include discussions on how Respect Life offices work with parishes to promote the many life-affirming resources offered by the Catholic Church, opportunities for building a culture of life by working with youth, tips for success if a parish is looking to build a Respect Life program, and some inspirational stories. Thanks for watching. Jen and Rachel, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you with us today. As I mentioned in the introduction, the purpose of these videos is to raise awareness about the life-affirming resources that are offered through the Catholic Church. And both of you are right in the middle of that. So let's start off today by getting to know you a little bit better. How about if each of you gives us some background on how you got involved in working with the church. And Jen, why don't we start with you?
Okay. Gosh, it feels like so long ago. In a former life, I actually worked in the aerospace industry as a metallurgical engineer for a number of years. And so that's my background. Really enjoyed traveling and working for both commercial and military contracts. But then when I started my family, my husband and I started our family, I had like rapid fire 4 kids. So I became a stay-at-home mom. And during that time, I really started volunteering at the church in the pro-life ministries and group. There was an abortion clinic fairly close to our home, and we would go there and pray the rosary outside. And you know, after some time, the diocese approached me and asked me if I would be interested in starting up the Respect Life office for the diocese. The woman that was my predecessor did it as a volunteer, but they felt like it was time to make it a formal position at the diocese. So I started off very part-time, juggling my small toddlers and getting to know what's involved with pro-life work. And that was 25 years ago.
So I grew up pretty faithful Catholic, in a faithful Catholic family, although, and always had a sense of being pro-life in terms of the abortion issue, although it wasn't really until I was probably out of college did I realize the extreme horror involved in the true abortion experience and how widespread it was. So I'm grateful for my upbringing in the Catholic faith. And I think as anybody goes on a journey, even when they continue their faith or they feel like they're continuing faith through high school and college and beyond, that faith has so much room for deepening and furthering our understanding of the teachings of the church. So I went to Catholic high school, St. John Vianney in Homedale here in the Diocese of Trenton. I had a good experience there. And then in college continued, my faith practice with, I was grateful to have a group of friends who also were practicing their faith as well. Not that there weren't highs and lows and exceptions in between as we grow and we learn. However, I came out and I went into the pharmaceutical industry. I studied pre-med as an undergrad with a minor in business and worked in pharmaceuticals there. And there were some challenging issues there, especially as a faithful Catholic, especially when I worked in our women's health division that sold oral contraceptives. And at the time, I didn't fully understand the teachings of the church on contraception and thought, like many people do, that this could be a way to reduce abortions. And, I've since learned so much more about the dangers of artificial means of contracepting and have come to really embrace the teachings of the church and natural family planning and chastity according to your state and life. So after I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for about 10 years, as my husband, I got married. My husband, Ed, and I, we started our family, and I'm fortunate that he is also a faithful Catholic, practicing Catholic, and that's very important to him. And so I knew as we began our family that I would leave work and stay home to raise the kids. And we had 5 kids in about 8 years. And so that was a busy time. And during that time, I really found an opportunity amidst the challenges and struggles of raising, a young family. I really had a desire to deepen my faith, and there was invitations to me to participate with other young moms in Bible study groups, as well as some of the older gentlemen and parishioners in my parish, an invitation for me to come join them in selling New Jersey Right to Life raffle tickets and trying to become involved in those ministries that support life and family. And so that was really an area of big developmental growth in my own spiritual life, and eventually began leading Bible studies and leading some of the church ministries, whether it was pro-life ministry or another ministry we have at my home parish is the Elizabeth ministry, which really is an overarching, very pro-life ministry that cherishes, our younger families and during childbearing years and beyond. So that all was a great preparation for me in raising my own family. But little did I know that there might be opportunities, 18 years, staying home with my family for 18 years and really doing a lot of volunteer work at home and self-study in areas of bioethics and church teachings and moral theology. Nothing formal yet anyhow, but yeah, really just furthering my knowledge in those areas. And then lo and behold, I opened up our diocesan newspaper that was a newspaper at the time, the Monitor, and there was an ad for a part-time Respect Life coordinator in our diocese. And it just was the exact right time for me to see that and respond to that invitation to participate as on a professional level to support Respect Life ministries in our diocese. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that it was there to fit into my life at the time, and it continues to be. And it's something I really treasure and value.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as Respect Life directors? And Jen, why don't we start with you on this one?
A lot of our issues are seen as politically divisive. And I think that's just the nature of the culture right now, is that if you're, pro-life, you can't vote a certain way, or, it's become very politically divisive. So that's a challenge. That's another reason why people don't want to talk about it, is because they think that you're aligning with a political party. And I've seen this with different rallies and different groups. Instead of focusing on one issue, we get into all kinds of other issues. And just because you're pro-life doesn't mean you're anti-vaccine and all that kind of stuff. So that becomes a bit of a challenge, because it's difficult to have meaningful conversations with people. One, right away, they think it's, all about politics. Again, that's another thing that's coming up with this synod that we're doing, is that people don't know how to listen to one another. They don't know how to have a civil conversation. So one of the things that I'm hoping for, with the whole Dobbs thing coming up, the Dobbs decision, is that we as pro-life people can be compassionate, logical and compassionate in our responses, that we don't get our claws out on the other side. And we need to stay compassionate and civil and logical and loving, because we don't always understand what someone else is going through. So that's a challenge in today's culture, is that people don't know how to have those meaningful conversations. And I feel like with this decision, whether it goes one way or the other, we're going to need to know how to have those conversations and really know how to listen to the other side, so that we can have the outreach that we need to have in the most effective way.
I would say that time is one of the biggest challenges in the role as a Respect Life director for a diocese. It's just there just simply isn't enough time, is there? The issues are so important and so diverse. The education curve that's required to fully grasp the depth of many of these issues is pretty intense. And, we know that abortion is the preeminent life issue for sure, right? But there are very, very serious other life issues that are creeping up and oftentimes don't get the attention that they deserve. Things like human trafficking, certainly human trafficking that's linked to abortion issues. Like that's a whole like sub area of the abortion issue. But in general, human trafficking, there are other issues regarding bioethics and medical research and treatments that, push us to the limits of understanding when we trust our doctors, and yet certain treatments or protocols are being presented as if they need to be the best thing to do for your loved one. And yet there can be very serious moral considerations to take into account when making some of those decisions. And one of the biggest pro-life or respect life issues that's looming upon us is care for the elderly, together with the sick and the disabled as well, but particularly the elderly. We're looking at a baby boomer population that is just starting to reach into their 70s. We're looking at the next 10 or 15 years to seeing the elderly population grow by leaps and bounds. And certainly with that, unfortunately, comes the number of dementia patients that we see. And what are we doing to rightfully and with dignity care for this aging population with very specific needs? And, our country right now, our healthcare system is not equipped to handle this really looming situation. And, there's a crisis in our nursing care facilities with skilled and trained workers. And are they being paid enough for the care that we hope that they would give to our loved ones? So there are really, really serious, intense issues that are before us, even outside of the preeminent issue of abortion. And so, time. I think that's why we need to open the doors wide and accept anyone who has a particular interest or talent or experience in any area of life issues, and invite them in to develop that area, because we need more laborers in this vineyard for sure.
Thanks again for watching. Remember to stay tuned for additional videos featuring Jen and Rachel, where they'll discuss compelling topics like building a culture of life by engaging youth, and how parishes can build successful Respect Life programs. We'll let you know when those videos are available. See you then.